The person that I have decided to share on is Dr. J. Gresham Machen. Dr. Machen was a prominent controversial figure in evangelicalism as a fundamentalist during the Fundamentalist-Modernist Controversy. He served both as a Presbyterian minister and a scholar, serving at Princeton Theological Seminary in New Jersey. When Dr. Machen was up for a promotion to become the professor of apologetics at Princeton, he was very wary of taking the position. According to Ligonier, he left Princeton, and as he saw their seemingly liberal trajectory, decided it was in his best interest to leave. Enjoying the scholarly world, he set out to found a new school, which is still operating today as Westminster Theological Seminary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He created this school to institute his specific fundamental theological view and did not account for other Christian views, even if they were conservative in nature. The dilemma with the fundamentalist movement is that even within conservative Christianity, there are several issues within the fundamental view that are not necessarily universally agreed upon. There are a lot of good points to be taken, such as biblical inerrancy, but there are a number of other views that are not necessarily universally held within conservative Christianity. As a teacher at a small Christian school, the question of whether or not education ought to be teaching students what to think or teaching students how to think is a tricky question to answer. On the one hand, you want your students to be strong, independent thinkers that can lead others well, leading in godly values and in godly actions. On the other hand, there are specific ideologies that are difficult not to include in the curriculum, such as biblical inerrancy, or even historically accepted biblical positions like heterosexual monogamous marriage, or particular confessions or catechisms if your school is tied to a church. It seems that churches would be a good authoritative structure to teach what to think, where universities founded on First Amendment freedoms would lean more towards how to think. However, if critical thinking is a skill learned before university education, which I would contend that it ought to be, it would be more beneficial to have universities also teach, if not exclusively teach, what to think. Students could then use their critical thinking skills that they had learned to think for themselves in those matters. Dr. Machen was not content with a new university, as that takes time to grow. After the school was founded, according to the Associated Press and the Evening Star, Dr. Machen led the separation from the Presbyterian Church in the United States of America, known today as the PCUSA, to establish a new denomination of the Presbyterian Church of America, known today as the PCA. It seems that Dr. Machen's vision of the Presbyterian trajectory was completely accurate. Today, the Presbyterian Church in the United States of America serves as one of the more liberal denominations, allowing for LGBTQ plus ordained ministers, as well as LGBTQ plus marriages for their lay people, holding to inspired but not inerrant scripture, and tolerating views outside of the Westminster Confession of Faith. The Presbyterian Church of America, however, remains quite strong in these fundamental views by opposing homosexuality entirely and holding to inerrancy and the Westminster Confession of Faith.